Okay, so I reviewed yesterday a little bit, and I got some other simulations for you today. I had fun yesterday with the Stroop effect. What do you guys think? Sarah, you're pretty good at it. And Campbell.
I think I came in last in like
Did you?
Yeah.
I gotta look at the
You
times.
did forget to say the one song. Why did you
Oh my gosh, you know what? That's right. I thought about it when I left school then yesterday.
I would not be able to tell you the song. And the third one? I don't think
Pretty sure it was the third one. I'll play it then for you. You'll like it. It's one of my favorite songs.
I'm trying to
Oh.
think of what.
So what is a blind spot? Describe how a person cannot see if light strikes the blind spot. I didn't want to give it away, so that's why I didn't say where the light would strike. Yeah, what is it called? I think it's called Don't Fall Asleep to Dream. I think it was made specifically for Nightmare on Elm Street.
Dawkins, do you know that band?
What is it?
Dawkins. They're like a 70s and 80s rock band.
Oh, I don't know.
But I know they did like a special song for it.
No, did they?
Yeah.
I'll have to check it out.
I don't know if this is the.
Yeah. All right, so what do we have here? What is the blind spot? What is it? Hannah, what's a blind spot? Yeah, good job. So we know the photoreceptors are located where? What layer of the eye? Sarah? The retina. Yeah, good job. So the optic nerve enters, obviously, the eye in the back there, and there are no photoreceptors located in the optic nerve, which is why they call it the blind spot. So if light, for some reason, enters the blind spot, there's no photoreceptors there, which prevents us from seeing whatever it is that's entering our blind spot. And yesterday, you did that little simulation in your book, and I thought that was pretty fun. There's another one, actually, on 216, which there's a little short reading I'll have you do today. You can try it out on your own, or we actually can try it together if you like. And I think it's unique. I think it's pretty cool how that works. Obviously, gotta watch what you're doing, especially when you're driving. Drivers entering your blind spot. I want to cut them off. Oh, I hate when that happens. You guys ever get in those scenarios at all, Sarah? Do you ever get in that scenario on the highway?
Yeah.
It's scary, isn't it? It's really scary, especially when the guy honks a horn at you and
I hate merging.
you don't like merging. Okay.
That's scary.
There's a part down at my buddy's place down in New York, and there's an enter and exit, like the exit and enter lane of the same. Like there's one from a different ramp, obviously, but like when I'm exiting, I'm going off to the exit. There's someone entering that same lane, and every time I'm going to my friend's house, it happens all the time. Like, oh my gosh, I just jump up a little bit, I get a little scared.
Well, if someone's going the same speed as you.
Yeah.
I have not gotten to that. I mean, I can do it, but like, whenever, you know, Bouchard.
Yeah.
Whenever he's like in a fast pursuit, speed up, speed up. That's scary.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like,
what are you doing?
if you can't see, you're trying to look. Just make sure you don't whack someone when you're coming out.
Yeah, that's whenever I never trust my mirrors. Usually I always turn my head over my shoulder to make sure I can see what I'm looking at. But with that ramp especially, I'm slowing down because I'm getting off the highway to go on, the exit ramp. And that person's coming off, getting into the highway, so they're speeding up. And it's always, every single time, I'm like, oh, it's close. Almost a collision again. They got to fix that. They got to figure something out down there. But yeah, there's a blind spot, okay, whenever light enters or reflects off that optic nerve, okay, and we have no photoreceptors there, so we can't perceive whatever light's entering there. Okay, there you go. So, moving on, open your books up to page 216, and I'd like you to read 216, 217, and then the top of 218. It won't take you long. There's a lot of charts, a lot of figures there for you to check out. Today we're going to talk about the electromagnetic spectrum. We're going to talk about binocular and monocular vision, color blindness, and near and far side. So I'll let you guys check that out, read over it, and we'll discuss it. We'll go over it.
What page did you say?
216 and 217, and then there's just a little bit on the top of 218. But after you're done reading, we'll go through some of these figures, and like we did yesterday. I think that's fun. On 218, you'll see color blindness. So check it out. You guys good? You done? All right. Okay, so let's try this real quick since we just got done talking about the blind spot. Figure 8.5, your blind spot, it's called, on page 216. I would do it on the computer, but it'll look weird for everybody that's watching it. Getting closer and closer to the camera. So try this out on 216, your blind spot. So what you're going to do is you're going to make sure the right eye is on it. Close your right eye and look directly at the cross with your left eye. So close your right eye, look at the cross. I can't do it with this thing on. Everybody fine. And you're going to look at the cross with your left eye. So notice that you can also see the dot. So when you move it forward closer to the cross, so move your eye, your head closer to the cross, the circle should go away. Does it work? Maybe you have to really focus on closing your right eye. But focus on the cross with your left eye and bring the book, or your iPads, I guess it would be, closer to your face, and you won't be able to see the dot at a certain spot, certain location. I can't see it right now. It's hit my optic nerve, hitting the blind spot. Does that work for you, Campbell? Oh, look at that. 2 for 3 now, I guess, with these simulations here. Sarah, is it working?
I don't know.
Oh, it should.
Weird.
I promise it should.
I can like still see it.
Are you serious? There should be a spot where you
Yeah,
can't.
right here.
Okay, you got it. All right, there it is. There it is. There it is. Isn't it weird? I'm going to try it with the other way around. So I'm going to cover this in a circle. I don't want to see the cross. Oh, works. Works. Hey, did it work for you? All right. Okay, good, good, good. All right. So I thought that was pretty cool. Well, make sure you guys keep your books ready, or your online textbook. I'll refer back to 8.7 and then 8.8 in a little bit with color blindness. But yeah, I think that's pretty interesting how that just disappears on us. It hits our blind spot. There's no obviously photoreceptors in our optic nerve, and we can't perceive it. Unbelievable. All right, so let me bring up the slides here. So yesterday we talked about what? Ghostly images with the bird, the blue parrot, right? The Stroop effect, how in some cases are with parallel processing, and once our attention shifted a little bit, especially when there's two stimulus that are presented, it might be a little bit harder for us to explain what we're visualizing, especially when we have to read the word of a color and when we have to tell people what the color is. Introducing two stimulus like that, a little harder to process. Almost 2 times the amount. Except for me, mine was only like a second after, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You timed it,
The
yeah.
first one was like 6 seconds.
This guy's slow here, right? And then all of a sudden, just boom. Yeah, 6 seconds. Unreal, unreal. Maybe I was practicing. Maybe I was reading the colors before we started. I was cheating a little bit, maybe. Nah, I wasn't. I'm just kidding. All right, so Colorless World. All right, so we're going to talk about the the electromagnetic spectrum today, and how certain forms of light we might not be able to see. Okay, and there's only a certain part within the middle electromagnetic spectrum that we can actually visualize, where we can see. You guys ever hold a prism, like a glass prism, up to the light? You can see a rainbow being projected maybe on the ground. You guys ever see that? What is it, Pink Floyd, the band? They have that as their artwork, right, on their album. And that's pretty cool. But yeah, that's the only forms of light we can actually see. And it's interesting that our brain actually doesn't pick up light. Okay, there's actually not a color to, let's say, the desk, or to this table, or to this board, or let's say to a flag. It's actually the way we perceive this color is the way light is bouncing off of that, let's say, flag. Let's say the flag in the back of the room. The Miami Hurricanes, my favorite. The green and the orange. So all the other colors on the electromagnetic spectrum, like the purple, the blue, the red, because there is none in that, is actually being absorbed by that flag. The light that's bouncing off of that flag Okay, those colors are being absorbed into that flag. The colors that we actually see, that we visualize, that we perceive, is actually being bounced off of, let's say, that flag. So we obviously see a green, an orange. Those are their main colors. The yellow, the ibis back there is feet. I'm looking at the flag in the background. Sorry, guys. But yeah, so that is the light waves, the rays being bounced off of that flag or that object, whatever we might be looking at. Okay. And like I mentioned before, not everybody has the ability to see these types of colors, especially people who have, let's say, a dysfunction with their cones. Okay, maybe they have a, a hindrance in their cones, which obviously detects color. Okay, that happens often. Some people might have an overabundance of rods, which people, in rare cases, see the world in black and white. Can you imagine that? Everything's like a comic book. Oh, what do you think, Sarah?
No.
That'd be crazy, wouldn't it?
All I'm saying is I've seen Night of the Living Dead in black and white, and that's like terrifying.
Isn't it?
No.
Yeah, we associate that black and white color, right, to a horror movie or a horror film, I think, anyway. And Wizard of Oz, half of it started in black and white, right, and then it turns to color. Isn't that the first movie with color? Campbell, you should know this. You're in the play. I'm pretty sure it's the first movie with color, and in the 30s. Came out 31, 32. You don't know?
No, I have no idea.
Oh, all right. I think it's 31 or 32. Actually, yeah, I'll look it up later. All right, but it's interesting that we actually don't, there's actually not a color to these items. It's actually how light bounces off and I guess you say reflects off of whatever we're looking at. And that's how we perceive the color of, let's say, a flag, or let's say the desks or the chair. Whatever is being reflected or bouncing off of that object is what we visualize, what we perceive as that color. Like I said, not for everybody, obviously, but it must be pretty accurate since we all know certain colors and what they should be. I always wondered that especially with my dad. It's like, well, how do you know what green looks like? We talked about it yesterday, and blue and yellow if you're colorblind. Doesn't make any sense. All right, so I'm going to move to electromagnetic spectrum. I'll come back to the color blindness a little bit more, but electromagnetic spectrum, okay. I have a video for you towards the end of class. Maybe I'll show it. But this is only we can visualize. This is the only part on the spectrum we can visualize. The short snippet, okay. Only part visible for humans. And light and sound, which we'll talk about with sensation, it occurs with wavelength, frequencies, amplitude, and depending on those frequencies, depending on the wavelength, obviously is going to create a different color, right? It's going to create a different type of ray that we might utilize, especially with microwaves, radio waves, gamma rays, if you're going to turn into the Incredible Hulk, I guess. I'm just kidding. No one watches Marvel in here. No one picked up on that joke. Sarah, not a big Marvel fan? Oh, okay. All right. Never mind then. Campbell? Anna? Oh, my gosh. Well, here I am. Posters all around my ear. Superheroes. But anyway, frequency, I'll just show it here. I don't have to write it on the board. With frequency is the amount of waves in a given spot, right? So if there's a high frequency, that means there's more waves occurring in a given, I guess you'd say, place, in a given time. Okay, with frequency, if there's more, obviously, if there's a higher frequency, that means we might have it's going to be left on the electromagnetic spectrum towards gamma rays. Okay, real quick. So gamma rays, this is going to be a higher frequency. There's more waves that are occurring on the left side. On the right side, it kind of distances themselves out. Okay, it expands a little bit more. So it's interesting with radio waves, some of these wavelengths are actually the length of a football field, 100 yards. It's amazing. And with gamma rays, it could be just as minute as even smaller than obviously a hair. Okay. Wavelength is obviously the distance between each wave, the peak of each wave. Okay. And depending on the wavelength, you might have a higher pitch sound. You might have a different color. Okay. what we're visualizing or what we're hearing, what we're sensing. Okay, and they kind of all work together, especially with what we're hearing and, and what we're seeing, depending on frequency and wavelength and amplitude. But anyway, short wavelength, okay, high frequency, bluish colors, high pitched sounds. Like I mentioned, if we're looking at the electromagnetic spectrum and a high frequency, that probably fall on the left side of that electromagnetic spectrum. That's why when we're looking at, let's say, the rainbow, right, the purple, blue would be more associated with a higher frequency. All right, so bright colors, great amplitude. So amplitudes, the higher the wave is compared to equilibrium. So let's say there's an equilibrium. There's a line that goes right through the middle of the wave. The higher that amplitude is from that forms that sign of equilibrium, the brighter the color, the louder the sound. So this is with your yellows, right? Okay, maybe even orange is associated with this as well. Maybe like a brighter color of, let's say, a shade of blue, red, okay, purple, depending on that amplitude, depending on how high that wave is compared to the line of equilibrium. The long wavelength, lower frequency, so this is found more on the right side of electromagnetic spectrum. This is more of a reddish color, okay, darker, like let's say even orange in a way. Obviously, when we get closer to yellow, it's going to separate itself a bit. But this is low-pitched sounds. Okay, when we get to sound, we'll talk about this a little bit more with the anatomy of the ear. But long wavelength associated more towards the right side electromagnetic spectrum. Like I mentioned, radio waves, some of the wavelengths are as long as a football field. It's amazing how long they actually are. Okay, and like I mentioned, on the left side electromagnetic spectrum, gamma rays, they could be as small as really a grain of salt, even way more smaller, obviously smaller than that. And finally, small amplitude, dull colors, soft sounds. Amplitude obviously is the height of that wave. So that line of equilibrium, if it's closer towards it, you're going to have a duller color, a softer sound. All right, you guys good with that? All right, so real quick, color blindness. You all see the number in those on the left. Let's say the left side here. Sarah, do you see the 74? Yeah, no problem. Campbell, you can see it. Hannah, yeah, no problem. So actually, color blindness is more, I guess, say acute with men. Okay, more comes for men. This I guess you say deficiency in cones. Okay, these photoreceptors in our eye and our retina. It's actually carried by the mother or the woman. So this could be a carrier trait or recessive trait that is carried to men. My dad is colorblind. I know a couple of my friends are colorblind, and it's more just because they have a deficiency with cones, depending if it's red, blue, okay, a lot of times yellow, some greens as well. But like I said, this is deficiency with the cones, and they're more reliable on their rods, okay. And I'm sure you read about it already here on page 218 about how that kind of works. So real quick, we'll try that out after we go over monocular, binocular vision. On 218, there's the changing of a flag. You guys can check that out afterwards. We'll look at that then soon. But anyway, real quick, here's another example of various types of color blindness. I think this is pretty cool to see. You see exactly what form, I guess you say, or what level of color blindness you are, depending on how you visualize or see the flag. And this is for us to see, and I guess you say their eyes, of what colors and we can visualize. This one here to the far right almost looks like a bright blue and green stripes, doesn't it? That's kind of what I see anyway. I couldn't imagine seeing an American flag like that. Could you? What about you, Cameron? I don't know. That would be really weird, wouldn't it? It's like, oh yeah, there's American flag. Green stripes and bright. It's almost like a bluish purple. Obviously where the stars are. Unbelievable. I couldn't imagine that. The one in the middle too. Oh, can you imagine seeing that? Yeah, it's really bright colored, huh? All right. So with Monocular, Binocular review, real quick, I usually do a simulation with this, like an experiment where you're trying to catch these balls, tennis balls. I throw them to you, and if you can catch it with your one eye shut and then trying to blink, closing your right and left eye simultaneously, trying to catch the ball. We usually do that down in the wrestling room. Maybe we can try it tomorrow if we have some time, but a lot of people don't like that. It's like, oh, getting hit with it. Oh my gosh, you're throwing it too hard. But I don't think we'll have an issue with this class with that. But with binocular vision, we're obviously using both of our eyes to combine an image together, right? Our left and right eye can act by itself to understand an image, to perceive it in our occipital lobe. And there's some examples with that, okay? I'm sure you've all done it before. If you hold your thumb out right in front of your face and you can focus on it, and it really doesn't, like you can visualize that thumb just with both eyes, just one image. Even though you have two eyes, you only see one image. Let's say you blink, okay, blink one eye, okay, you close one eye, keep one eye open. It moves just a bit. Try it out right now. So it moves just a bit, not too much. There's really no difference in what we visualize or what we see, just a short bit. Actually, if we focus on something in the background, say you're looking at the books in the background, it's really jumping far on the shelf, for me anyway. Let's say we bring it closer to our face, let's say, I don't know, 5 inches away. We can definitely tell our thumb is jumping side to side, the different images that we see. That just goes to show our eyes can act by themselves through a monocular vision or binocular, where we're combining the two images together. And our brain perceives that really quick, really fast, okay? We can combine that image together, obviously, to see depth, to see shape, to see location, obviously, of where these things might be and how we react. Especially when we're driving a car, we need to make sure that we have perfect binocular vision here. That could be an issue. And there's other examples, okay, when we're visualizing, let's say we're looking at a railroad track. We know there's two parallel lines, right? Two parallel lines with the railroad track. If they came together, we know that would be really terrible with the train, obviously. So we're looking at those two parallel lines. It almost looks, if we look off in the distance, that they're coming together. But we all know that's not happening, right? And that's somewhat of a, I guess to say, a monocular discrepancy, okay, where we're actually tricked. Our mind actually thinks those two lines come together, but in all reality, we know that they can never do that. And it's interesting how our mind can bring those images together, focus on, using our, obviously the eyes, bringing those images together to understand that those two lines do not intersect, that they do not come together. When in reality, it's almost like an illusion where we think that they are, but they're not. All right, is there any questions on that? You guys good with the electromagnetic spectrum? The gamma rays, the cosmic rays even, to the far left, higher frequency, shorter wavelength, and then on the right side, more like, let's say, with microwaves, X-rays, okay. Infrared is closer towards our visible light, but we still can't see those types of rays. We only can see a short spot on that electromagnetic spectrum with those colors, like the prism, right? And like I said, I have that experiment for you. Maybe tomorrow we can do that. I'll have to grab some tennis balls at home, see if you can catch them with your blinking your eyes simultaneously, see how that works. Or if we can focus on binocular vision, or if we're not coordinated at all, we can't catch them. What do you think, Sarah? You think you can catch them? You think you can do it? What if I throw some smoke at you, 90 miles an hour?
Maybe not.
Woo! I'm just kidding. I'm joking. I can't throw that fast.
Like what's got Reminiscent Man.
Oh, yeah.
Think about softball getting practiced.
Look out. Look out. All right, you guys want to try this real quick with the changing flag, figure 8.8. It's on page 218. We'll check that out real quick. And that's it for today, everybody. Check that out on 218 for those of you at home. It's right here, changing flag. No assignment.